Hey guys, what's up? It's Cards here, and today we're going to be giving you a first look at TEW 2020 Grey Dog software. It's really an excellent new incarnation in the TEW series. So what I want to do is kind of show you around and get you through booking your first match. If you haven't played TEW before, it's a great game. I highly recommend it if you enjoy the wrestling business and doing a little bit of fantasy booking. So let's go ahead and get started here. It's not going to be like a whole lot of advanced tips and tricks, that sort of thing. This is just a first look introduction sort of video. So this is the landing screen when you start out. When you start a new game, come right over here on the plus sign. It's going to go through and check the database. So it's doing this because there's so much customization available in this game. There are just dozens and dozens of mod makers out there. They create real world mods. They create mods based on the game's default database. They create other fictional universes. It's amazing. But I'm just using the standard database here, so you can see obviously no errors there. We're going to begin the game. This one's going to be for our video. Here it's just asking you what regions you want active, and this will be permanent throughout the whole game. We can leave it as the default for the purposes of this video, although India is new this year. So that's probably why that one is not selected by default. But you can, for the first time, have a company set up in India. So it's pretty exciting, a whole new universe, a whole new region to explore. Now you see here at the beginning, while it's creating this database, is really the only time you have to sit through a loading screen where there's not much going on. Once you get in game, there are some loading screens as you go from day to day. But most of them will be accompanied by some additional information to kind of get you drawn into the fictional universe that's created here in the default database. And as you can see, this is one of the coolest new features. The Cornellverse is the name of the default database, and this just gives you a little bit of preview for it. Now, obviously, if you're a guy, you got to have your your WWE or whatever. You got to have that real world mod. You might not be interested in this, but if you enjoy the aspect of booking the fictional universe, this is a really cool new feature that kind of takes you through what's been happening since TEW 2016. Now here we are, TEW 2020. What's changed? So it's just giving you a little bit of an overview of each region. So you can see here it talks a little bit about the US. We've still got our big three, and then here are the popular indies. And then you can see Rich Money is the USPW World Champion. USPW is the #1 Fed in the entire database. And then we can move on here. We can see what happened in Canada. Anybody that has been following this is probably going to be pretty interested in learning that some of these big northern Canadian organizations came together to form the Canadian Wrestling Alliance. I think this is one of the biggest changes. So you still have ACPW down here as an indie. Down in Mexico, Champagne Lover left. He was one of the most amazing workers in the game, in my opinion, and he's out of the wrestling business now. So you can see here, even if you weren't familiar at all with this universe, this little intro kind of gives you an idea of what's going on here. 21 CW over in the British Isles with the Cornells. And then it gives you, here's Japan, Europe, and Oceania. I guess this is really like Australia and the islands. There's no information in India because nothing really exists in India right now. So now we move on here. These are the different characters by default that you can be when you start up a new game. This is just going to be your avatar. It doesn't have to mean anything. If you like to play somebody that actually gets involved in the wrestling, you can pick somebody like Jack Avatar. I pick him sometimes. He's a young prospect. Or what I tend to do is I pick the Grand Avatar because he's not good at anything. He doesn't even have a picture. And I just completely keep him out of it. You can come down here, set up your user talents. So they have a number of different just sort of default setups for you. You can choose one of them and apply it, and it'll do that. We can leave it like that. Also, here are the preferences. And again, if you've not played this before, you probably just leave this at default. But if you are coming back, you can take a look here at some of the things you can enable or disable as you go into a new save. So this is what we like. We're going to roll with the grand avatar. We're going to go with these user talents, play as this character. We're going to remove the other unused avatars from the database. That's fine. And now it's going to let us choose our starting company. So what I'm going to do, just for the purposes of this video, because I'm kind of familiar with it, we're going to come down here and book Total Championship Wrestling. And I'm going to play it as the owner so that I don't have... You can, if you play as the booker, you will have an owner who will give you certain goals. So he'll tell you who you can and can't hire, how much you can pay or can't pay. If there's certain styles or gimmicks they don't like, they can prohibit you from hiring them, or, you know, I guess you can do it and fail their goals. But, you know, it puts a little bit more pressure on you. So I like to play as the owner just for the video, so I don't have to deal with that. But it certainly adds an interesting aspect if you just go in, playing as the booker. So this is the landing site when you start any new game in the Cornellverse. This is what you're going to see. Right here we've got all of our news articles. Over here to the side we have a lot of additional information that can sort of take you into the depth and the immersion of this database. Got your Power 500. These are the best 500 wrestlers in the world. And you can see up here over the last 12 months based on match ratings. Here's what we've got. Tommy Cornell. It's called the Cornellverse because of Tommy Cornell. So it's not really a surprise. The only surprise, if you take a look here, Tommy Cornell's 41, and he's still one of the best wrestlers out there. Really amazing. So that's our Power 500. We can come back out here. Over here on the left are sort of our navigational buttons. So this top one brings you out to the new site. This little briefcase takes you into your office. You can see here how many wrestlers you need, how many you have. You got all of your in-game options are over here. If you're taking a look at this and you haven't played before, this can look a little bit intimidating, but really you don't use the vast majority of these buttons for a lot. You know, down here at the bottom is most of your more important ones. You can see your roster here. You can see your events and TV here. And I mean, you'll want storylines. These are the 5 default storylines when you take over TCW. So we've got Ace Andrews versus Wolf Hawkins, Jay Cord, Sammy Bach. A couple of tags here, and the rise of Greg Gage. And he's going over Benny Benson. So you can take a look through creative. They'll tell you, these are the guys that we think are the franchise players in TCW. On the horizon, T-Bone Bright's looking good. You can see who creative. This is the AI. The AI believes these are the guys. You can walk through the rest of these if you like. See who the best talkers are in the ring, who's really going to step up and perform for you, who can control a match and be a ring general. And then you can take a look at momentum. And then hidden gems is always like the AI's recommended hires. So these are the guys that would send us out to hire. So again, the main things you need to see from this screen really is your roster. You need to know your events and TV. And then finance is going to be helpful. And this screen shows you our finance. Of course, it's day 1, so nothing's happened yet. So in the events and TV block, we can see our next TV is Tuesday. Today is Monday, week 1. Our next TV is tomorrow. So before we get there, let's jump over here and we can just take a look. Here's USPW. You can see they're ranked number 1 in the world. They got $50 million. We can actually do a tour of the company. So it shows they're large in size. It shows where they're based. And then here are some of their top workers. Mostly Nikki Champion. That guy, he's right here at the top of the roster screen as well. You can click on him and check him out. And he's extremely popular. A ton of star quality. Pretty good worker. This guy kills it in the area battles. He's just devastating if you're trying to overtake USPW. Rich Money here is the current champion. And you can see also, very popular guy. Pretty good worker again. You take a look at the second largest federation in the game universe is Supreme Wrestling Federation. This was sort of like the WWE in the Cornellverse for a long time. They dominated the 80s and 90s, and then USPW kind of came out of nowhere with a whole lot of money and just sort of overtook them. Because it used to be, well, we don't need to go through all the history in this introduction video, but there's some history there, and you can read all about it. That's the really cool thing, just the depth of this universe that's been created. You can see I'm kind of getting caught up in it, just trying to talk you through it. There's so much to it. It's really interesting, and each time that the game comes out with a new update, every single character has updated information. So the last one was TEW 2016. Now that we're here in 2020, every character has new information changed. Every federation has had their information changed, and it's all updated, and it's just an ongoing universe, and I'm sure that that'll continue in future iterations of the game. But you can see here's SWF. They're the second largest in the world. You can get the little tour there. They got Rocky Golden and Remo Richardson at the top of their roster. And then TCW is third. I believe 21CW is fourth. Yep. So those are some of the bigger companies. The first three all being based in America, this one being based in the British Isles. And I think this one's sixth. I think it's one of the federations based in Mexico that's fifth, I believe. Oh no, here we go. This is actually a Japanese, Burning Hammer of the Wrestling Gods. So that one's fifth in the universe. But anyway, that's just sort of an overview of the different companies that are up at the top, and then obviously you saw all the indie companies that are out there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to advance. And remember, I told you there are some loading screens within the game, but as you can see, it's going to give us random profiles, and what's different than in older games is this one actually gives you a little bit of an overview of the skills. So not only do we have this narrative, and you can see since 2016 he's been hosting, whoever this is, every one of these characters has information on what they've been doing since the last time the game came out. It's so cool. But you get the little narrative, and then you can get a look at their skills. Sometimes I find workers in there that I'm interested in. So you can see right down here, you get sort of, this is in-game mail, and it's showing us we had a house show last night. As you negotiate contracts with wrestlers and that sort of thing, if they agree, if they agree, you can it'll pop up in this decision box, and you'll come in here and accept them. If they get an updated offer from someone else, it'll show up in your mailbox. But anyway, when you get to the date of a show, you do actually need to advance, and it's going to take you to basically the evening of that date. And so you can see here it's auto booked us Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's fine. So every show down here at the bottom, you can have backstage incidents. This is lit up yellow, so obviously we had something happened. Jeremy Courtney and Jason Azaria. Jeremy failed to pick up his tab at the bar. Jason found him guilty, sentenced him to pay drinks. You get these little things from time to time. They're interesting. Sometimes it's like this, and that's what I was going to say. This has had a small positive impact upon Courtney's attitude. So, they can be impactful. They aren't always. Now this one. Oh, and now we've got Joshua Taylor, who's one of our, upper mid-carders, coming in and saying he thinks T-Bone Bright has a bright future. He'd be willing to put him over. So you can have the opposite happen. You can try to set up a match and have the wrestlers argue with you and not want to do it, and I believe they can just outright refuse in some cases. But if they don't want to do it and you do it anyway, it's going to make them angry. But in this case, you've got a fairly popular worker coming in and saying, hey, I'll do the job for this young guy because I think he's good. So these backstage incidents, they can change from save to save. I can tell you, I'm about a year into a different save with TCW, and I've only had one person come in and say they would job for anyone or put anyone over, and it certainly wasn't that one. So every different save has its own little flavor to it. We can also see we have some absent workers. Chris Flynn here is hurt, but he can be in angles if we need him, and Eddie Peak isn't contracted to wrestle on TV. Alright, that's fine. So over here on the left, this top button is this screen. Here we can click into our office if we need to for anything. Here we can get a little overview of our popularity, the economy, the wrestling industry. Over here on the, well, up at the top is the region that we're going to be in. And then right here on the right, we can go through and see the different locations and the different costs within that region. And then say, instead of the Mid-South, we want to go out to the Midwest. We could do that. And we've got, they're expecting about 7,000 fans, so let's book us something that can hold 10,000. And it looks like that will be nothing in that area. Nothing in the Midwest holds 10,000. Go 15, 15. Let's go Missouri State Armory. Sometimes if you get a sellout, I think you get a little bit of a boost to some things. So I'm surprised there's not a 10,000 seat venue out there, but that's fine. So we'll go to the 5,000 seat area. And now down this pencil right here, this is where you actually book the show. Okay, so it's telling us we need it to be about 120 minutes long. We can go 5 minutes over or under for TV. So now you just start adding matches, adding angles. So we're going to go through, I'm going to just go through and book you a show, and then I'll show you how the show actually works as it goes through. This isn't how I'd normally book TV. This is probably more how I would book a pay-per-view. But this is, in the beginning of this game, this is about the biggest matchup that you can have in TCW. So we're going to let Aaron Andrews and Wolf Hawkins fight. Andrews is going to win. We'll let him build it up slowly. And we're going to throw the World Heavyweight Championship belt on the line. We're also going to have Sammy Bach and Jay Cord. Another one of our top-of-the-line feuds that are going on. We can also let that go on 17, 18 minutes. That's going to be fine. See, we had Andrews win in the first one, so let's let Jay Cord go over here. And I could put some other stuff on that. We could have it be a brawl, or we could have them also slow build it, but that'll be alright for now. We can have one more one-on-one between Benny Benson and Greg Gage. They've got a feud going on. Actually, yeah, this is for the TV title. This is normally only defended on television, but we're actually booking a television show. Not that you can't put it on a pay-per-view, but that's just a little bit of the lore of the game. It's not a functional thing. So not only over here, you can see like 1v1, or this is like a triple threat match, or we have tag matches. I'm going to run this as a 1v1, but you can also, these are just the generics. You can hit search and clear this out, and you can get all these different types of matches. You want to do weapon on a pole, you want to do a casket match, you want to have an evening gown match, or first blood match. You can have any of this. Let's see if these two guys, maybe they want to have a ladder match. How about that? So yeah, we're going to do a ladder match between Benson and Gage. I don't know if this will work or not. I think Greg Gage can probably pull it off. I don't know about Benson. Let's slow it, take it down a little bit, and let's let them brawl. We're going to have Greg Gage be the winner. Here, these are just the road agent notes. You can say who's going to be the winner. You can say how you want it to go. This one is going to be a wild brawl. TCW, the different companies can have different requirements for matches. So one of the requirements in TCW is that everyone has a wild brawl, every show has a wild brawl, and storytelling. And we'll keep that open. And you can learn more about the different types of notes that are being used, as you play through and that sort of thing. I'm just sort of, the segment. So here we go. This is our broadcaster. Ace is the broadcaster that TCW is on, and they're telling us that the segment is too risky and they're not going to allow it on the air. So they don't like ladder matches. Wonder if there's... Tell you what, instead of me learning while I shoot the video, how about I just make it a regular one-on-one match? We can leave it as a wild brawl. And then we want to add, let's throw in a tag. I believe that we can actually see, if we close out of this, we can see our titles. So the tag champs are Killer Shark and Titan. So let us have Titan and Killer Shark, and they will have it out with Divine Fortune. We can let that one go for 17 minutes. We're going to have Killer Shark win it. We can let this one be our storytelling match since we have to have one. We'll also have it be open. And we'll put the tag team championships on the line. Now, obviously, if you're playing through a save, you probably have a little bit more storytelling to it than what I'm doing right here. But again, just as an example. We're also going to do a couple of angles here, and this is like in wrestling, you know, you got your matches, and then you got where they come out on the microphone and they want to talk at each other. So angles are where they're talking at each other, or fighting backstage, or interviews, post-match attacks, all that good stuff. So we're just going to do the modern TV opening, which if you've ever watched WWE, it seems like they do it every week. And we'll let that set up the Aaron Andrews-Wolf Hawkins match. We'll let them come out and argue for about 10 minutes. That's going to start off our show. And then somewhere in the middle, Sammy Bach and Jay Cordes are our other really big one in this. So let's just have Sammy talk about it in the middle of the show. Plus, you know, it'll get him a good little boost, good little rating, since he's going to end up losing that match anyway. And we can come over here, see, it's whatever I book, it's going to put it at the bottom, which is going to be toward the beginning of the show. But we can come over here and just move it up with these arrows. So we can put it right in there after that tag match. So you can see I've booked 6 segments, took up 90 minutes. I need to take up about 25 more minutes before I can go forward with anything. So we can add another match. Let's make this a 3-on-3. And when we click in here to choose who we want, at this point I've already booked a handful of matches. I don't know exactly what I want to do. What I can do is click this button down here that says exclude already booked. Anybody that's already in a match just got taken out of this list. So this is what's left. Now, I can also cycle through by perception. If I just want to see my major stars, if I just want to see recognizable, clicking these is actually going to take them out. So this is showing everyone. If I select unimportant, anyone that's unimportant just got taken out. Now I'm removing recognizable, well known. So I've still got these guys who are either stars or major stars. Fortunately, there's only 5 of them. So what we can do, let's see, we were going to look at the faces and heels divide, which is right here. So these are the faces available, the baby faces. We're going to let Mighty Mo, One Man Army, and Tana all on this 3-man team. Now our heels are Huggins and Taylor. And then we'll bring back our well-knowns. And let's throw Matt Hocking into our 3-on-3. We can auto name. We will let Mighty Mo win this one. Again, I like keeping it open if we've got a whole lot of people that are sort of on different levels. That's to give everybody equalish offense. And now we need 7 more minutes. So we can either go with an angle or with another match, or we can see if the auto booker can help us out. On the auto booker, you can let it book the whole show, where it'll just take over the entire thing, or we can just ask it, just book the matches, we'll handle the angles, just book a match, just book one angle, and then you can limit it in here. So let's see if it wants to book an angle. Yep, it added Josh Taylor and Tana the Mighty. So let's see what they're doing. Alright, that'll work. So we can look at our booking analysis. If we have, every different Fed is going to have a different ratio of matches to angles, and it can be different from events to TV. It'll tell you that right here. Then down here in our booking analysis, if you got any big problems, you're overusing people, or you're failing to meet your product guidelines, click on booking analysis. It'll tell you if there's any big problems right up here. And then down here at the bottom are all the wrestlers that are on our roster that we're not using, that are available but not on this current show. Now, if I were normally booking, I'd have a lot more tags and a lot more stuff in it and try to use a lot more of these workers. I'd also put some guys in a pre-show. If you're adding a match or an angle, you can click this for pre-show so that it happens before the show, or you can have it happen after the show is over. If you do those, the workers are still getting the experience for being in that, but it's not necessarily going to be shown on television, so they won't see the popularity changes, but also it won't affect your show's rating. So I use pre-show a lot to have some of the lower rated workers come out and basically just get better at wrestling. So I would normally do that, but for now I'm just going to show you what happens. We've got our show ready to go. Let's go ahead and let it get started. So here is the rating that the auto booker threw out. It'll give you a little bit of description. It'll give you the pictures. It'll give you an overall segment rating right over here. And a lot of this is similar to prior versions if you've seen them. So if you want, you can come through. There weren't any road agent notes for this. It was just an angle. I'll show you these buttons on something where I had a little bit more of an effect. Here is our big 3-man tag that got a 72. So you can see in here the individual ratings of each person that was in that match, and then it can give you notes down here about who has chemistry. Joshua Taylor has a hot new move, and then how this affected the crowd. Here we can see our road agent notes. We can also see our booking details, and then the dirt sheet. You can turn this on or off in the preferences before you get started, but it'll tell you like all of the different things that went into calculating this rating over here. So you can see what they all got bonuses for, and then down at the bottom you can see all the things that they were penalized for. So you can see that on every match so long as you have the dirt sheet turned on. So we can just roll through here. You can see, I told you, Aaron Andrews, Wolf Hawkins, when you start off a TCW save, this is where the money is at. 97 right out of the gate. All these negatives down here, all because our announcers aren't talented enough to handle a segment that good. So this is telling us pre-booking expected. Certain angles lead to a booking. So two guys come out and argue with each other. Normally you'd book a match, but I had already booked it ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this. But if I hadn't already booked it and I wanted to, then I could come down and handle it. So yes, we are going to skip it for now. So here was our tag match. You can see not nearly what Andrews and Hawkins were doing in that angle. Oh, that's a bad one. This obviously is not a save where I would want Floyd Goldworthy to continue managing the Behemoths, because he does not have chemistry with Killer Shark. That wouldn't be great. Luckily, this isn't my main save. You can see here, Sammy Bach, his interview about Jay Cord, pulled in an 80. That'll work. Benson and Gage, they didn't get to have their ladder match. Greg Gage, had a good fight. Almost pulled in a 60. Now we move on to Sammy Bach and Jay Cord. They got their 78. And now for the main event and the title match, Aaron Andrews versus Wolf Hawkins. That only got a 79. So not great for them in that. And again, I didn't have any kind of special booking notes or anything. That happens. I would love once you get into it and once you change it out a little bit, you start getting these segment ratings up and up as their popularity increases. For the most part, like I would usually expect like high 80s over here into the 90s for mine, but this being a new save, I'll take this. And then you can see here, the final rating on our show was an 82. And again, the way that all this gets calculated, there's a player's handbook right up here on this question mark. You can see how all these, there's so much information available. All these, you can double click them, they open up, tell you a ton of things. So if you ever have a question about this game, you can almost always answer it up here. But it will tell you how this rating is derived out of these ratings. Long story short, this angle and this main event sort of averaged out in there, and the rest of these played some part, but not as heavy as the top angle and the main event. So there you go. It increased our popularity in 11 regions. I think you saw earlier our popularity was somewhere around 72. Pulling in an 82 show was a company ranked 72. That'll do it for you. So guys, that's it. That's how you can get a save started. Get in, take a look around, and then actually book a show. Now, once you actually start doing it, I'm sure you're going to come up with storylines. You're going to be looking through all the different match types, looking through the different types of angles. Maybe you're wanting to run women's feds. Maybe you want to run Japanese, lightweights. Whatever the case may be, you can do it all in Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. I think it's been a very interesting update. I think it's got a really clean look to it here on the landing page, and I'm really excited and happy to bring this to you. So I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've learned something. If you weren't interested in it before, I hope you give it a look. You can always go over to Grey Dog's website, and you can actually download basically a free preview of the game. So I think it lets you play the first 2 months, maybe the first 3 months, just like it's the full version of the game. You can check it out, see if you like it, get a feel for it, and hopefully you're interested and you end up playing it and having a great time the way I am. So guys, if you've got any questions, feel free to leave a message. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe so that you're getting all the latest from GM Games, and I hope to see you guys next time.